Welcome back to the Condo Club. Today we're going to be taking a look at the map that made me want to start this entire series. And that is the Tower Mall, made by my good friend TheFragMan. This map is brought to you by him as well as a whole bunch of other users in Tower Unite, each of them working on their own little projects and features in the store. The current version of this model is in the 2021 winter version, and it's very Christmassy themed, but I figure since in real life right now we're seeing a bunch of Christmas stuff, it's a perfect time for me to start showing it off too. If they can do it, so can I. We start off by arriving at the mall. We take the train, of course, just like entering the plaza. And once we get up top, we get to take our first look at the mall. Like I said, right now it's very Christmas themed, but it is still a work in progress nonetheless. There are a whole bunch of new things that have been added since, so definitely be on the lookout for a video following up all the builds. Remember that every single thing that you see in this video was placed down by a player. Not one thing here exists without being built from the ground up, so it's definitely a whole lot of effort that went into building this. And that doesn't even take into the fact that he was able to take all of the normal themed things and turn it into a Christmas themed mall, which makes it even more insane. Inside the mall itself, we have all sorts of different stores, each with their own unique theme and products. You can even take your own ads out if you feel like it. I have an old ad of mine, and I think it's pretty good. The stores themselves were offered up to different members of the community who built each of them all on their own. Each of them has their own different theme, and even though some of them are still a work in progress, we get to see the themes in each of them standing out. And like every good mall, there's even a map, which can help you find your way around. And of course, some additional notes from TheFragMan himself, all the FAQs, the mall team, and all the different places that were built by each of the individuals. This is all a work in progress, expected to be completed in 2034, so be sure to be on the lookout for a video when it's all finished up. But now let's take a look at the mall itself, and what better place to start than the Starbucks. That's right, come grab a cup of coffee because we got a Starbucks here. There's a Starbucks everywhere, so why not in Tower Unite? The Starbucks is super detailed and it even has a real menu from an actual Starbucks, which is very cool. All of the different things that you can order, as well as all the fun snacks and things that are also lined up for you to purchase. And of course you have a little place to hang out by the fire, someplace nice and cozy where you can chat, do your computer things, or in my case look at this painting because it's a really cool painting and I really love the Tower Unite art that comes out of this. This certainly has a lot of fun details and things in it, and even though I'm not much of a coffee guy myself, I gotta say this looks absolutely incredible. You want to know something else that's quite nice? The Sweet Something Shop. One of my favorite things about this is just the fact that there are so many sweets to choose from. All these shelves are lined with all sorts of fun candies, different sweets, and all those fun things. I love the use of the canvas tubes here to show all those big tubes full of candy, which, let's face it, we all love. Also get to point out that each of these is name brand candy. None of that fake stuff here. It's all real sugar. Next up, we've got the Nintendo portal thing. But as we go through here, we see it's still a bit of a work in progress. A bunch of cat sacks, all sorts of fun things, and a golden cat sack, which is sealed behind an impenetrable wall. And then we have the start of an NPC back here who is actually the master hand from Smash Brothers, which I think is very clever and also kind of scary when it's in its incomplete form. But we're definitely looking forward to seeing all the other Nintendo stuff that'll be added to this later. Speaking of Nintendo things, let's head to the game store. This game store looks just like a GameStop where you can have all sorts of games and fun things in it. We got the Nintendo wall here, complete with Zelda and the Switch, as well as the PlayStation and Xbox walls. So yes, you could probably even buy your 5th copy of Skyrim here in Tower Unite, because of course it's probably for sale in this. You never know what Todd's up to. So yes, even though this is a little bit different from the other Nintendo store, it definitely has its own unique and feel, and I think it looks exactly like a normal game store. But if you're in the mood for a more retro style, you can head out to the Atari Shop. If everything in the other stores were a bit modern for you, well then you can check out these ones. Complete with the old school feeling and all sorts of different styles, retro lights, neon things, 8-bit, 12-bit, all sorts of bit, and it looks really awesome. It's also complete with all of these retro games, so you really do get the feel that this is special for being something that sells all of these older games rather than a bunch of newer things, and it definitely captures that feeling of having just old school games right in front of you. We even have this really cool neon light area. I guess it's supposed to mimic the game Tempest. I never played it, but I really like how this area looks, and the use of the neon lights here is really, really cool. It's probably one of my favorite spots in this entire build. In keeping with old school types of products, we've now got the comic store. This store here is just your average run-of-the-mill comic shop, complete with all sorts of comics. Comics, Pokemon things, everything in between. We've got stands here of Deadpool, She-Hulk, Captain Kirk. We got a little something for everyone. I even love the shelves over by the counter, which has all the rare things displayed, with just a little bit extra protection. So if you're in the mood for picking up your comic books, this mall's got you covered. But what about the real books? Well, we could head on down to the Bookworm and find some of those. All these books laid out nice and neat, including the floating books and all sorts of other in-game books, assets and stuff like that, and also this little section here, which I didn't realize what it was until filming it. This is actually the kids section, which I think is very, very clever, because kids need to read too. Don't forget about them. And then once you've selected the book that you want to read, head on to the back. It's nice and quiet back here, you can get all sorts of reading done. And if all this walking has gotten you nice and hungry, well, you can head on down to the Froyo Shop. This logo here is the TheFragMan himself. This is one of the shops that he made, and he did an absolute banger of a job. All the little details and things that go into this, from a scale that weighs all the food to the actual menus and things themselves, complete with logos of his own logo. It's insane the amount of detail that he put into this. You also get all sorts of toppings and fruits and every single thing that you need. It even comes with the self-serve station, which has its own logos, each of them angled slightly different, but all matching. It's incredible the amount of work that must have gone on into this. Not to mention the store itself, which has all sorts of fun things on the walls, on the floors. The entire package really coming together here, making it seem like just a nice fun place to sit down and grab a nice snack. Really do love the aesthetic of it. Speaking of aesthetic, we've got the Radio Shack. Now this Radio Shack here probably has way more items and way higher of a stock than your average Radio Shack, but it's good to see that they are trying their best. We've got all sorts of electronics here, a lot of things old and a lot of things that are very old, and a lot of things that don't actually work, just like the real store. There's even a bunch of brand new items that were added in the latest patch, so it'd be cool to see all those things on these other shelves. Speaking of the shelves, you can really see that there's a true aesthetic to this whole look. It really does look amazing, and just the fact that it's able to capture an actual Radio Shack look, I really think is actually cool. Each of these stores just has their own feel to them, and that's what makes them amazing. Next up, we have the Antique Shop. Speaking of a shop with its own feel, this is much more different than everything else, where it's just a conglomeration of a whole bunch of different items that you have in the game, and they're kind of just thrown in here without much of a care, but it just works so well. It's just like your other antique shops that you get. You don't really know what you're going to find, you don't know where you're going to find it, but you're probably going to find something that you really like, and something that you didn't really know that you needed, but you do. You really do. Not to mention a whole big selection of music, because, let's face it, the old stuff is the best. And if you're feeling stressed out by walking around the mall all day, you can head on over to the beauty salon. This salon is complete with all sorts of stands, areas for you to get your hair done, just relax. There's a meat man there, don't worry about him, he is perfectly safe, probably. And this place is actually equipped with a whole bunch of chairs, which allow you to actually sit back and let some strangers touch your hair, so feel free to relax. If you're able to, that is. And again, what really makes this whole entire build stand out so well is the fact that it's a collection of a bunch of different people bringing in their own unique ideas, and just putting in a whole bunch of little details and things into their own unique stores, making them really stand out in their own special way. But of course, the fun doesn't stop here, because we still gotta find a way to get all of those items that are in the stores over to the mall. And to do that, we have to go to the loading dock, where the unsung heroes are, the ones who stock these shelves and the ones who keep everything running. Yes, this mall even has its own loading team. This mall has just about everything. And if you want to explore the other side of the mall, you'll find the suites. The suites are complete with their very own movie theater, as well as a bunch of different individual condos, which I imagine that a whole bunch of people will be able to decorate in all sorts of ways, similar to the other condos in the game. And to wrap things up, we'll head on over to the gym. That's right, we got a full-size gym here in the condo, complete with a full-size basketball court and basketballs to play with. I make this shot because I'm amazing. Half quarter, never a doubt. But these are just the main basic things that the mall has to offer. There's definitely a whole lot more out there. Remember, each and every one of these items was placed down on their own, so there was a whole lot of time and energy that went into making this thing, and I think it is one of the more fun and unique builds that are out there. It's especially cool because it just seems like a big community project, and it was one of those things that really made me want to start showing off all these other fun community-built condos. So if you're in the mood, feel free to download this map. It is available at the Workshop Condos, and if you happen to see TheFragMan, tell him nice job on the build. If you have other builds and condos that you want to show off in the Condo Club, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this visit to the Tower Unite Mall, and I will see you all in the checkout line.